The Child's Right Act was officially passed as a federal law in 2003 under former President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration. Till date, some states are yet to pass the act into law in their respective state House of Assemblies. Most disheartening is the fact that states who have passed the Child's Right Act hardly implement it. In this two-part documentary, the Osasu show pays a visit to Kano State to learn more about the topic of child marriage and its impact on the high level of illiteracy amongst girls in the northern part of Nigeria. Welcome to today's episode of the Osasu show. We are in Chiromawa Baradu community in Ungogo local government in Kano State. So thank you so much for joining me on today's program. What is the right of the girl in the Islamic, in the Quran?
Female children, whenever they are matured, Islamic law has permitted the parent to give their hands in marriage.
In this Chiramawa school, Islamic school, do you have female students here or is it just males?
We have the male student and the female student. In the previous years, the female students are even more than the male student. Due to the new schools that were opened, the Islamic schools and of course the Western education schools, the number of female students outweigh the female student.
What is the rate of the females who actually leave school to get married? What is the percentage?
The number of female are 20 or 17, but it's only 4 or 5 that are due for marriage. God has not bring somebody who is going to seek their hand. They continue with their Islamic knowledge.
So how do you know they reached the marriage stage? What criteria do you use to judge that?
It's count on their age. Whenever they are of 18, 17, 15 years, that's when we give them out for marriage.
I know here in the Islamic school, it's just basically the Quran that you're teaching the children, the pupils of this school. However, are there other Western education support that you're getting for the children? Is there another Western school in the community that they are able to attend?
There is knowledge of Quran, the study and jurisprudence, and also the books that talks about jurisprudence in Islam.
What percentage of the students in general speak English? Do students here speak English?
Those who speak English, like 80 to 85% of them have gone through education. There are those who have a degree, masters and diploma.
What is the percentage of females that have gotten higher education, university degrees, PhDs and all of that?
The schools are far away from us. That's why the female child not further their education. The way we have the primary and secondary school and even the grade 2 school, we don't have the tertiary institution near to us. So that is a factor that prevents them from further education.
Okay. And now back to you, sir. Nigeria is operating under 3 separate laws. We have the civil law, we have the custom law, then we have the federal law. If, for instance, we were to combine these 3 laws and operate under one law, and the law that children under the age of 18, women under the age of 18, girls under the age of 18 were not allowed to get married, that would your Islamic teaching support that action?
Government has power over every human being that is under it. If the law of government is against the law of Allah, we explain that to the government, give them our reason. If the government insists, we do away with their law and we will hold on to the law of Allah, who is our creator, and we can as well beg the government.
There are lots of stereotypes and propaganda out there that we only get to see one side of Islam, which is portrayed on television and by most of the Western world. So can you tell me some key good things that you teach in this school, you know, you teach to the children of this school that people all over the country, people all over, you know, the world can watch and say, okay, I didn't know this about Islam. I didn't know this about the religion.
Islam is a pure religion. Islam is a religion that helps every soul that lives on the earth. The reason why things like this happen is that some Muslims actually go extreme, even beyond the Jews. That's why we usually have problem in Islam.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks be to Allah.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining me in today's program. Okay, so I would first like to ask the women. I know there are two young girls with us today who got married under the age of 18. So I would like to ask them, number one, how they were when they got married, and number two, if they're still married today.
Her name is Nabila Yau. Kina faɗa na fassarawa ne. She got married when she was 15, and now she's a widow. The main problem why the marriage cut off was because of the family issue, family problem from the husband's side. It started like joke, and it came to a place, a stage whereby they can no longer stay together. So he has been busy. So, and she akasaya sekeki. Okay, so he was forced to divorce her.
Okay, how old were you when you got divorced?
7 years.
7 years.
Yes, plus 15. That's
Okay,
22.
okay, 22. Okay, cool. Did you want to get married at the age of 15?
It's not her wish.
It wasn't her.
If it is her wish, you will have loved to go to school, then after the school. If it is her wish, she would like to go to school. Then after schooling, then she'll get married. She was attending school when she was married out.
By her parents.
By her parents.
Why?
Wai me yasa? Me yasa suka cire ki daga makarantar suka yi miki aure?
Su iyayen namu da dai mun taso ne dai za su ga kamar ko bi girma ne ko mene da haka. Sai ka ga da dai an fito an ce ana son ka sai su maka auren. What
the parents consider is that they have grown up, and as soon as somebody comes and seek for their marriage, they will just give them out for marriage.
So anybody, does a person, what criteria does a person have to meet?
Kamar da me ake dubawa ne kafin a aurar da ku da shi namijin?
Eto, kamar dai irin kamar ka dan fara girma dai haka?
A wajen namijin. Idan wanda za ki aura da me ake dubawa kafin a yadda a baki shi?
Za a duba dai irin kamar yana da ilimi dai na addini haka?
Once he's literal in Islamic way, not necessarily whether he has gone to school.
Okay.
One is knowledgeable in Islamic.
Meaning he knows the Quran?
Yes.
Okay.
Sai me kuma? And he's a kind of, he can at least settle his responsibilities at home.
Financial responsibilities?
Yes.
Okay.
Sai me kuma?
Yanzu haka idan so yadda nake so ne ina so na gana yi karatu na ni yanzu auren ba.
That if it is her wish now, she wouldn't like to get married again. She would like to go to school first, then when she finished schooling, then if time permits, you can get married again.
How come you wanted her to get married before she finished her school?
Okay, she has kind of finished Islamic, the Quranic recitation from A to Z. Then she has finished that. It's only the Western education that she has not gotten fully. They say whatsoever they wish for the children, no matter how they want the children to go to school, they are powerless.
Why?
Because of the parents, male parents.
Okay.
Yes.
So was it her husband that wanted her to get married?
Yes, that's what she's saying. What she's saying is the culture and mostly culture is the main problem here. Because once a girl is grown up, it will be like a talk of the town. So person's daughter has grown up and he refused to
Marry.
her
Even below the age of 18.
Yeah, of course.
So
some girls at the age of 14, 15, when you see them, they are bigger.
They've grown, yes.
Yeah, they've grown. And
so how old is the typical age for women to get married in this community?
Okay, that was then. Now there is a change within the community.
Okay.
As at now.
Yes.
That nowadays they don't do that because they have learned from previous acts they have done, activities or the marriages they have done. Yes.
Did you want to get married at 16?
She chose to be married. Mesa? Okay, she's finished primary school and she didn't further.
You're shy?
Okay, she just found herself that somebody loves her and he requested for her marriage.
Okay. And she married.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay. Did her parents object to it?
They agreed.
They agreed. Yeah. Okay. So it was her decision to be married at that time.
Yeah. Sensitizing people on this, not on the early marriage, but on how to go about the marriage. That's what people lack.
Okay.
They don't have the don'ts and do's of the marriage.
So it's better to tell them you can get married, but this is what you do in the marriage.
Yes.
But in her case, where she had a situation like her husband's family influenced him to divorce her, and her own case where her husband just fled, right? Because of poverty. She said that her husband was poor and couldn't take care of her anymore. That's why they divorced. So how do you sensitize them on how to work that kind of marriage out?
That before you get married, you must have something doing, no matter how little it is, one, you can take care of your family.
So it's a mentality.
Yes.
So as soon as a girl grows to the stage where she's developed,
yes.
so they start to say, okay, she's ready for marriage.
Yes.
But as for a boy, you can be 45 years old and you're single, but that's okay.
Yes.
But a woman, as soon as you start growing,
yes.
all these different body parts,
yes.
then they say, okay, you have to get married or else it's a shame to our society.
Yes, because not so as not to bring shame.
Not to bring shame, okay.
Yes.
Because if they start doing things that they're not meant to be doing, then they'll bring shame to the family.
Yes, if she could be pregnant,
wouldn't it be easier to just teach them about abstaining from sex? And
it is nowadays that this is coming into
play. Okay. Well, ladies, that's all the time we have, and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving us insight to this topic. Thank you. Now go there. We are still in Darirawa community in Kano State. With me today is Malam Yusuf Adam, who's an Islamic cleric, and he'll be speaking to us on the topic of Islamic marriage. Thank you so much for joining us in today's program. There are quite a number of children, women who are under the age of 18, who are married off by their parents. How can we respect the rights of children and allow them to finish school and allow them to marry who they choose to marry?
The reason is that sometimes the girl child that's 15, she looks as, the nature of her body looks as if she's 20. And of course, those who are 18 or 20 sometimes look as if they are 15. That's the main reason.
But I understand that in the Quran, there are places that says you cannot force a woman to get married, right? So you cannot force somebody to get married. But we've spoken to, you know, people who got married at the age of 13, 14, and 15, and said that if it were based on them alone, they wouldn't have gotten married at that age. You know, their parents made them get married due to the culture.
The point is that it depends on the girl. If the parents observe that they allow her to stay long after that age, she's going to be having a relationship with boys outside. They will give her a marriage to protect her against having a relationship outside.
So does the Quran support that premise that if girls are promiscuous, they should be married out at an early age?
Instead of her to be pregnant before marriage, that is going to result to problem to her, and of course in the future her children will also be facing mockery. They will decide to give her in marriage to protect her against that.
After gathering this information, we returned back to Abuja, where we spoke with the Chief of Education for the United Nations Children Emergency Fund, UNICEF. We discussed ways Nigeria can promote girl-child education in the North as a solution to early marriage. Mr. Terry Donien, Chief of Education for UNICEF, thank you for joining us in today's program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
What is UNICEF doing to improve Nigeria's basic education system?
UNICEF is working with the Federal Ministry of Education. It's our main partner here in Nigeria, and looking at improving access and retention and quality in schools. So we're working with at the national and the state level and the LGA level and the community, which puts UNICEF in a unique position. So working with various stakeholders, trying to affect policy change as well as improve delivery of services at the local level.
Okay, what are some best practices that developed countries implement that actually helps their education thrive?
I think in Nigeria is interesting. I think Nigeria has really some good policies now. I think the challenge here is implementation. You have a Universal Basic Education Act, which is quite good. Here, basic education includes pre-primary, which is quite advanced thinking. But it's implementation and improving what's happening in the schools, the quality of teacher training, we have an initiative going on in relation to improving reading in primary school, looking at for mother tongue and transitioning to English.
What are some of the major barriers that you're having in implementation?
I think one of the main barriers is things that affect people's ability to afford education, the indirect costs. So not necessarily school fees, but uniforms, books, and often in some areas where high levels of poverty, children contribute to the family. So often they're helping the family and have less time to attend school. So with the government in 2 states, we've initiated a cash transfer program to provide funds to the mother of the household to offset costs so the girls can attend school.
What's the reach strategy for that? So are you focusing on setting geopolitical zones, or is it just for all Nigerians regardless of stratification?
We're focused on the poorest right now.
Okay.
We're piloting it in Niger and Sokoto,
Okay.
and with the governments there, and really demonstrating what can be accomplished, reaching about, I think it's about 23,000 girls. And we're looking at linking this to the initiatives in the Vice President's office around social protection.
Okay.
And one of the other initiatives is school feeding, but really supporting households to better enable them to send their children to school, and then working with the system to improve the delivery of education.
Given the current state of our economy, how are we going to achieve the United Nations Global Goals for Sustainable Development, specifically goal number 4 of quality education?
I think I think there's change starting to happen over the last 6 months or so, looking at evidence-based planning and budgeting.
Okay.
So effectively is using the money you have. Right now money is often an issue, but targeting it better, using evidence, what works, what doesn't work, where should we invest for the best benefit for Nigerian children, and especially girls.
Okay. Are we planning well? Because I think a lot of the problem stems from lack of planning, and implementation obviously is the next step, but you see more developed countries planning for 30 years ahead, 100 years ahead, and it's like really long-term planning, but what I feel we lack from my research is planning, then implementation. What is your response to this?
I think we're doing a lot of work at the state level, looking at improving data collection. So the states have good, sound data on which to base their plans on, and then working with the State Ministry of Education to implement medium-term strategic strategies and longer-term strategies, but use targets, realistic targets, and based on real money. So it's money they know they have, and how can they best use it to maximize children's enrollment, retention, but also real change in terms of quality. And that's linking to the initiative under the Global Partnership for Education, which is working in 5 states in northern Nigeria, and supporting, providing support to the state ministries around access, quality. There's girls' scholarships, improving teacher quality, improving evidence to feed into better planning. You have a state like Sokoto, which has declared education state of emergency. So I think the governors are really taking this serious, and they want to make change, seeing that it's the children who are the future of Nigeria, and especially girl children. Because you educate a girl, they stay in school longer, it delays marriage, first child. Children tend to be healthier and better educated. So you're improving the next generation. It's really an investment in the future.
Mr. Terry, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
To learn more on these topics and these episodes, you can visit our website, www.theosasushow.com. I'll see you same time, same place next week. And until then, take very good care of yourself. The Osasu Show is a one-stop development program that focuses on the promotion and implementation of sustainable development in Nigeria. This show provides information from state actors to non-state actors and vice versa regarding economic, social and environmental policies that cuts across borders. Your Excellency Executive Governor of Ekiti State, Distinguished Senator Dino Milaya, Honorable Minister of Health, Distinguished Senator Matthew Orihide, Your Excellency Nyenta Mwike. Is PDP going to be able to regain Edo State?
It is the people that will decide who rules them.
Are you scared?
No, for God's sake. I am a veteran.
Is there any such thing as free healthcare in Nigeria?
We pretend to be doing that.
Why is it that in the 21st century, Nigeria doesn't have affordable and quality healthcare for the poor? This is the Osasu Show.